Hey, it's me, Daniel. And today was the end of day one of the BCC Open at Hua Hin. So I finished the first round and it was a really tough game. And I lost. Hey, um, although it was quite a tough game, right? And before I go into the game, let me show you my opponent. Okay, I hope I pronounced his name correctly. Kensat. He's a member of the Thai Paralympics chess team, right? So he's in the blind category, right? So he's a blind player, and it was the first time in my life where I played against a blind player. And basically, how it goes is I use the normal chessboard, right? And he's got his own set, a Braille chess set, right? We couldn't bring our phones into the playing hall, so I wasn't able to go in to take a selfie with me and him and the Braille chess set. Don't want to end up with Magnus Carlsen's opponent. So, anyways, this was taken at the after the game, right, in the analysis room, and basically he's got this Braille chess set, and what he does is he would be able to touch the pieces, right, because that's how blind people see. They use their hands, right, to see. So he could touch the pieces on his chessboard, and then he will make a move, and then he'll press a clock, and then I will see the move that he's made on his Braille chess set, and then I'll make the same move on my chessboard. So yeah, it was a very, very interesting experience, and it was fun playing against him. Though since I was on the losing side, it was uh, hmm. Anyway, yep, we made friends, and hope I'll get to see him again over the next few days and get to know him more. Okay. And anyways, back to the game. Right. So towards the end of the well, the early stages of the opening, this was the position, and here I played bishop d3. Right. He moves his knight, and oh, I've got the white pieces. Okay. And here I castled, and then he made a move h6. And here, what I did was I moved e4, right? And what happened then is there were trades on the board, okay? But it turns out that actually I made a mistake, right? What I should have done is I should have traded here on the d5 square. So pawn takes pawn, if knight takes pawn, and then pawn takes pawn. Okay, and what happens then is you've got this situation where white then would have the bishops aiming towards the queen side. And white could play queen to b3, and later on maybe rook to c1, and white would have 4 pieces, right, trying to exert control over the queen side, and white would have very good chances here during the middle game. Right? Unfortunately, I didn't play that. So what I actually moved was e4. And there followed some trades. Okay. And at the moment, white looks pretty good. Like, ooh, he's got 2 pawns and 2 bishops all on the 4th rank. He's controlling the center. Not really. Let's have a look at how the game continued. Right, so knight f6 and threatening the white square bishop. So it's got to move. Move to bishop c2. And then he pins the knight. So the idea is if bishop takes, queen takes, and then queen takes the d4 pawn, free pawn, and it's a center pawn. Okay, so I had to move my bishop back to e3, to defend the d pawn. Okay, and here black played knight to d7, which isn't that good. It sort of moves the game back to parity, right? So before this, black was doing a bit better, and now it's gone back to white doing slightly better, right? So h3, trying to chase the bishop, but here if the bishop goes back, pawn moves up and the bishop is trapped, right? So if the bishop moves back, pawn moves up, right? After the pawn trades, and the bishop has to move again, right? So bishop would then have to move back to f4, and then I would trade, and black would have double pawns on the f file, and that looked okay to me, right? So basically what black had to do was to trade the bishop for the knight. So now white has got the bishop pair, right? So normally bishop pair against knight and bishop pair should have the advantage, especially when it's an open game. So we'll have to see the pawn structure later on. Okay. And here black played a move e5, trying to open up space for the black squared bishop, right? And attacking the pawn as well as the rook. So on b2 and a1. So white moves the rook to defend the pawn and also to get out of the way of the black bishop. And then here, black played queen b6, which is a very good move, right? So here the queen is threatening the pawn on b2, but besides that, it's actually supporting the attack on the d4 square, right? So now black has got pawn, bishop, and queen attacking the d4 square. So black's actually got a pretty good position here. Okay, and here again, it was another critical move. And I was looking at the possibility of maybe pushing my pawn to d5. So here the idea would be I would sacrifice the b2 pawn and possibly also the a2 pawn, right? For counterplay in the center, pushing the d pawn. And I actually spent, I think, 20 minutes or something like that on this move. So I took a really long time. Unfortunately, in the end, I didn't make this move. So what I did was I took the pawn, knight takes back, okay? And now it's very tricky. So I was considering whether to move my queen. But if I were to move my queen to e2, right? It's move my queen to e2, and then the queen would take the pawn on b2. And I was thinking and thinking, I wasn't really sure of how I could continue this. So in the end, what I did was I just went for the exchange. So I took his queen, he took my queen, it's got a check. So I had to take back with the pawn. Okay, black takes back. So now we're on equal, 6 pawns, 2 rooks and bishop endgame with opposite colored bishops. The difference is black is attacking the pawns on a2 as well as b2. Okay, so this is where white's game is starting to fall apart. The beginning of the end, so to speak. And white doesn't have a lot of choices here, and I went for a4. So when bishop took on b2, instead of moving my rook to b1, because then black would have the resource of bishop to d4, followed by c4. And then black would have a centralized bishop, right? Great outpost, and it would also be attacking the f2 square, right? As well as defending the queenside pawn majority, right? And then later on, black would then, move their rooks, right? Maybe towards the open file on the e file. So I decided to keep the file And then here I had to decide um, whether to take the pawn and keep the two rooks, or whether to double rooks on the d file, forcing an exchange so that we'll go to rook and bishop and pawn endgame. I decided to take the pawn on b2. Okay. So here, okay, I had a choice of rook taking b6 or bishop going to e8. And what I missed was, I chose to move my bishop to e8, but I missed this. Right? Rook to f4. And I was a bit worried about black, right? After taking the pawn on f3, you would be attacking the pawn on f2. There'll be two rooks, and later on, black could move the bishop and attack the f2 pawn as well. So what I did was, I moved my bishop back to c6, right? And here, it was basically lost for white, right? Okay, and the game continued for another 15 moves or so, and in the end, white had to resign. So this was round 1 of the BCC Open. It was really tough. Lost the game, but I hope to do better tomorrow, and we'll see tomorrow who my opponent is. Right, that's it for today, and I need to go and rest now. My brain is just... All right, keep in mind, this is my first classical game in a tournament in about 30 years. So this old man's brain is sort of going like, beep. All right, so I need to get a lot of rest, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.